Hello. We are going to look at a function in NDS that is pretty much a non-nutritional, but very key to managing nutrition on a dairy and looking at all aspects of managing around a farm and figuring out what feeds you have. I'm just going to go into a diet and let me go into lactating cow group here. Let me just go into this recipe. Oops, we're in a composite. One moment, just a minute. Let me just pull up a recipe real quick here for a lactating cow that would be representative of a herd. So here's a dairy. Let's click on the icon, go to this pin right here. And there are fresh cows and heifers in this dairy also, probably about 500 more head. But if I wanted to do a quick and dirty idea of what are my feed inventories going to be like, what do I need for 1 year or a time period for this recipe? This is my ideal recipe. I want to stay on this for all year next year. So what I want to do is I want to go through and figure out mathematically how much feeds do I need and what do I need of each one. So here's my diet. If I go to feed details here, I can go down to feeds requirement. So the feeds that are required for this period. And right now I've got my days in my cycle is 365 days. My period is 1. And there are 1841 animals on there. But like I said, we have fresh cows and another pen that would be milking heifers. So let me throw on 1841 plus, let me just throw in 2250 here. So now what I've done is I've said this diet is going to be fed in the amounts that were on the screen up here to basically 2250 total head. Here's the period is right here. So this would be pounds per day right here. And then in 365 days in a year, what am I going to use up? So we do this all the time with the dairies, kind of looking at them and saying, okay, go back to the farm and say, can we produce about 28,000 as-fed tons of corn silage? Can we produce 7,000 tons as-fed of haylage? This would be tons for days in the cycle, which is 365. Now, if you've never done this before, and you might need to add 60 more days on here for your corn silage amount for your not 12 months, but 14-month inventory so that you would have some carryover. You could also play with this as far as having, as far as haylage, you need a 270-day interval from last day to first cutting. So there's some caveats in here on hays and haylages and knowing what your corn silage is. But this gives you an opportunity to discuss with the dairyman that, hey, you need to contract, 2,200 tons, 2,200 tons of canola. Here's how much soybean. You're going to need 6,000 tons of flaked corn. Now what I'm doing is I'm just looking at this recipe as a kind of a quick and dirty look for the inventories for any period. And again, that's done in feed details right here under feeds requirement. But the RUM&N group developed something that is even cooler to look at and to help us do this. So if you have a farm and you have all the recipes in there, so let's go look at farm and recipes, we'll use this, this farm as an example. So if I click here, I can basically look at the last 3 diets. It shortens up the field. So I've got a milk cow diet, fresh cow diet. In this area, I have a close-up diet, far off, and I did do a baby calf recipe, but it's not even active in my set of data. So very simply, milk cows, fresh cows, close-up cows, dry-off cows, all the heifers are raised off of the site. So when I do my accounting in the right way, what I can do is I can come down here, and this is a add-on module, and you can go ahead and request a price for that, and maybe even a 30-day demo. We can hook you up with a little bit of time to play with it, and then we'll tell you how much it costs. Don't have the price in front of me, but it's relatively inexpensive. I'll just tell you that for the power that it has. I'll go find the cost as we look at something else over here. But the feed inventory, this will have to be activated. If you click on it, it's going to say not activated until you purchase it or request a copy from us. Let me find the price on that. But what it does is it looks through your, so US price is, for that module, is the feeding management module. Looks like it's $1,000 for the year. And so what we'll do is I'll show you how that works as I look through here and look at it. So as you look here, so when I click on it, what it does is it opens up a screen that basically talks about the feeds requirement, inventory, storage facility. It has the farms and a date listed here. So using this and working with the RUM&N group basically set it up in this format to open in this manner. So what I can do is I can look and go to farms, and the farm we're going to look at is this one. So what it does is it generates a list of the ingredients, but what I did is I went through and I made a bunch of changes, so there's some double accounting here. I worked on this farm today, so in order for those changes to take in effect, what I need to do is use the 1 day in advance. So tomorrow the recipes will start. I want a 30-day inventory. And so what it shows me now is the total amount of heads right here. It gives me each ingredient listed here. So here's the corn silage, brome, hay, wheat straw, prairie cottonseed, and it lists everything as fed in pounds per day. And then since I'm asking for 30, it's saying tons per period. So now I can go down through here and say, this is exactly the tons I will be using per the whole herd. What we can do is look at, so we put in our time period, we have 30 days. We're in the summary screen now. So if I click on details here, it allows that to break out. And now it'll say, okay, I have basically 1,400 milk cows, 125. Let's go add a few milk cows. Let's go 1,450. And then what we need to do is there's an auto calc button or recalculate. This goes back to one of my friends who basically said, I'm going to make a bunch of changes at one time, and then I want to recalculate instead of letting it auto calculate every time you made a change. So now what it did, it just did the math for the as-fed dry matter pounds per the group, and then it just added a few more cows. So if we scroll over here, you can see. So here you can check your recipes here. You can change the number of head. You can't change the dry matter intake. That's preset from the from each recipe. But when I've done my accounting right, then I know if I go back to details, 1885 here. And so here's my amount of corn silage, my amount of feeds per period. So it really works well. Now on this dairy, basically the only thing that we do is everything is purchased except the corn silage. So we just got done real recently with putting in the corn silage, and as fed tons was 24,000. Let's delete this since this is no longer current there. But here's our tons of corn silage that we made. So now it gives me the tons per period, the pounds per day, same thing from the other screen. But what really is handy, it gives me a run out date. I have 454 days of this silage feeding to this herd in these manners. Kind of handy to have so I can walk through this. We haven't used a lot of this function yet, but this year I'm hoping to do it on some different farms. But we can even go into different storage facilities. At this dairy, we're going to have to go through and put our storage systems together because this corn silage is stored in 3 different drive over piles. And so we'll subset that this year in the storage facilities. But right now it's got a nice ability to tell you when your run out day is. What's really been helpful is this, looking at this. Now, I want to take you, it doesn't pertain quite to this system, but what if a farm is creating a farm mix, you can choose to unmix it here. Let's just unmix the mineral protein mix. In this instance, it is being delivered by a feed mill, but I can just show you the function. So if you had a farm mix, you can unmix here and proceed, and then it actually lists the amounts of those things here that are listed here in the mix. So again, we'll show you that in another screen, but you can use the mix and unmix and remix that back again to give you an idea. We've got water in here, probably didn't need to put that in there, could take that out, but there is just the things that we've made, we have those in our inventory, and the rest of the things are the purchase per month that we will have to make up for. So let me go through and go to a different farm. So let's go look at this area here. Basically, again, it comes up with the farm, and we are in the summary. It's listed here. So here's the dates. Maybe I need to go out. I've played with that a little bit too. So it streamlines that. So there's my 30 days. I made changes today in the diet. So what I did is I went 1 day above. So this is how many tons as fed I need of calf hay and grinder hay. This is some square bale, really high quality hay for our calves that come in. This is round bale alfalfa. Here's our corn silage, straw trit, and it just gives us a nice breakdown of what we have in there. Now, what I want to do is I can click on the details. I can, from here, I can change any amount of heads in here, and then again recalculate that and go into the summary, and it would change the summary. So if we went in and let's see, we're 200 off. So let me just throw in 200 head more of 1243, recalculate, click the summary, and here's my heads now, and my inventory goes up, of course, right? So again, a good way of projecting it. We have used this before in projecting diets, and then coming through and seeing how much inventory we need per year, and looking at those, or how much purchase feed we need. Let me go to one more farm just for fun and go back to farm economics. I'm going to go back to a dairy, and this may take a little more time for it to crank through. Looking for my dairy. Here we go. So, oh, I'm in the farm economics. Excuse me a minute. Let me back out of this. So just wanted to show you that unmix function here. Clicked on the wrong button here, but the inventory module allows you to have that discussion with dairymen as far as when and what inventory we need to purchase. This is a a little peek at the what we call the farm economics enlarged program. I clicked on it by mistake. Let me just finish letting it run. But what it's showing is basically number of milk and dry cow fresh pens here, showing milk production. On this dairy, there are basically 4 lactation rations. Close up dry cows over here. What it's trying to populate now is all the heifer diets. And here's all the heifers. As you can see, it's a big farm. So there's 6160 milking, dry cows 1200. That would be dry and replacement, or dry and close-ups. Here's the replacement. This is a large inventory economic module combined as far as looking at the farm economics. Sorry, just the economics. We're just looking at the economics on how that's done. I clicked on the wrong button. Let me go back to inventory. Sorry about that. Let me go back and find that same dairy here. And so it's just going to load the same thing, basically bigger picture of the same kind of deal. But what I wanted to show you was if I wanted to unmix, let's say the farm mix here, the Quail Ridge farm mix, what it does is it allows me to unmix the farm mix. And then it shows me the commodities that make up the farm mix. And then again, if I unmix another one, which would be this farm mix, what it will do is it will add those commodities together and give us the total tons used per month for on a farm. So again, bigger farm, more complex, but the ability to remix and unmix those things is huge. And those were things that were added on by the RUM&N group to show that. So the idea is using that feed inventory module. It's got some superpowers in there to let you look at feed usages, feeds needed on a farm over a period of time. Again, not a nutritional side, but once you get to this level with dairymen discussing this, then it becomes nutritional, because if you run out of feeds, you got to figure out what you're going to feed. So that's the feed inventory planner. And I guess using this inventory spot over here, it can be a tracker too. So that is a quick snapshot. I just wanted to show you that. So again, it's sitting down here. It is a additional module that you would pay for, a yearly subscription. But if you would like to get a hold of that thing as a demo and see if it's something you would use, phenomenal tool to be working with dairy. So I hope that gives you something to think about. Thank you so much.